All right, we are live. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We had a couple of technical issues, but we are now back and we're on. The Oscars are well and truly over, and we have a lot of thoughts. I'm on a bit of a high. I thought it was a really fun show. Yes, it had its issues, but saying to the guys offline that I made a list and I thought I was going to do good and bad. And so this is my good and this is my bad. So I'm feeling pretty good, but I really want to hear more from what everyone else has to say first. So, Charlie, why don't you kick us off? What were some of your highlights and maybe something that you really didn't like?
Well, I may be a simple Southern country lawyer, but um, no, this was one of the weirdest Oscars I've ever experienced. The winners, most of them, were top notch. We got great. The speeches were great. I love that we got another tie, our first tie in 13 years. And I love the love for One Battle After Another and Sinners both going. One Battle getting 6, Sinners winning 4. But the ceremony itself felt really weird and weirdly, like, okay, you know how everybody says about One Battle After Another that you don't feel the runtime?
Yeah.
This was the opposite of that.
Okay.
And it seems like there were audio issues, especially during the Sinners performance. It felt like there were some audio issues there. And then, like, Matt Berry's voice was never it was always eclipsed. I could barely hear what he was saying. Yeah, I have a lot of disjointed thoughts, very much like the ceremony. I will pass this on to others who may be more eloquent than I.
This is just a quick, sorry, go ahead.
Even though I am, as you can tell from my title, God's other son.
Correct. But only in 36 states. Now, I think this is just a very high level, what did you love, because we're going to go through this show item by item, okay? So next, I'll tab off the rankings. Christopher saying, what did you love? What did you hate?
Well, I'm certainly not going to be as eloquent as Charlie. But
don't try.
Futile attempt. But I pretty much agree with a lot of what he said. You could tell this show really dragged. And even this was when they tried to play off winners like 20 times in the show, and it still wasn't. Yeah. With Sean Penn not showing up, like it's still like could run over. But I'm sure we'll talk about like all the other the popular segments but I really love the in memoriam segment. Get that out of the way. That was one of the most beautiful tributes I've seen in a while at an award show. The setup to the stage actually looked pretty nice. It looked different than the way it has for the last 15 years. And Conan, I hope he reaches at least Billy Crystal's record for the number of times he hosts. He's always, whether his jokes landed or not, he always commits to the bit, especially towards the end when he didn't realize they were back from commercial.
Yeah, that's right. What about you, Daniel?
Oh, your mic's muted, Daniel.
Daniel, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I actually thought the show was fine, not bad. I didn't notice as many of the problems as I've seen a lot of people discussing the sound issues and other things like that. But yeah, I thought Conan was good, not as good as last year, but still worthy of doing this job again. And I liked some of the presenters, some not so much. It was up and down, but it wasn't a bad show for me. But I agree that playing off the winners, that's my real sore point. It's incredibly tacky. It's unnecessary. it leaves everyone feeling badly. It's like, who is it even for? Stop doing it. Like, people who watch the Oscars and love the Oscars are gonna watch a 5-hour show if it takes 5 hours to get through all the categories. You know,
Yeah.
Who are you saving time for? Just go. So that was my only major complaint was, and they kept doing it even after it started looking bad.
Oh, I know, it's horrible. What about you, Tony?
Ugh.
No. Oh, no.
That Oscar ceremony made Adrian Brody's acceptance speech last year look short and breezy. You know, pacing is everything. And this show was so badly paced. I mean, it's like they had no idea really what they were doing. The show didn't have like a flow to it. And the sound problems I found, just really annoying. Particularly like, okay, I know that there's somebody in a control van somewhere who, when they're playing the clips of the nominees, turn down the audience applause so that the people at home can hear the fucking clip. What are we doing? What's happening there? I thought Conan. I think I was more disappointed in Conan's performance mainly because the Gladys opening bit was so great that the monologue just fell flat, just absolutely just deadly. And I do admire how he commits to the bit. I just it did not work for me. Thank God that the winners gave us some really true. Oh, and before we even, and I'm sure we'll get into this, I think what Charlie said is absolutely perfect because there was very much a yin and a yang of so many different things. Like, for example, Conan's opening, great. Monologue, Sean Penn winning, great. Sean Penn not being there, deadly. And there's some other ones that are going to come into my head. Not playing all 5 songs, terrible. The 2 performances we got, great. So I just wish I want some more consistency in the production and for it to not feel small. There have been ceremonies that have clocking close to 4 hours, sometimes longer than that felt shorter than this show. And we'll get into some of the other stuff later. Yeah.
So it was long. Okay. Listen, you know what? I really loved it. I thought it was one of the best shows in a while. I was very entertained. I was really into it. Yes, it was stilted. I get it. I just feel like it's so hard to put on a live show like this. So many moving parts. So I'm happy to be a bit forgiving if I can see that intention's in the right place. And I really, really honestly believe that it was a good show. And hopefully by the end of this discussion, maybe I might be able to persuade some of you that it wasn't as bad. Perhaps maybe as your initial reaction. We'll see. But, I will list my bad things because then I want to talk about all the good stuff. So I didn't like the bum drum. That was really dumb. Please don't ever, ever, ever do that again. The banter mostly was terrible. And if we're going to play off people when they've just achieved the pinnacle in their success in life, maybe we could just save that time and give it to people instead because the banter was really shit. The casting presentation was way too long and stilted. Like, okay, we get it. It could have been a bit tighter. So that's probably part of this whole thing that you guys are saying that things are stilted and long. And the playing off was really bad, as I mentioned. As you mentioned, that's shocking. Terrible. Please stop it. Stop. It's embarrassing. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Okay, it's all about me. And finally, I must disagree with the set because I thought it looked really janky with the plants. Like it was in like a nail salon in downtown LA. I don't get it. What are you doing? Please improve that. I want to see Swarovski diamonds. I don't want to see plants. Okay? All right, that's where I'm at. Everything else was amazing. So let's go through the show from the beginning to the end. You don't all have to have a comment. If you don't give a shit, just say nothing, all right? But if you want to say something, let's go there, okay? So first of all, as Tony alluded to, that Aunt Gladys opening was insanely good. It was very good. And it brought back memories of when Billy Crystal used to do it, David Letterman has done it, where they're in the actual movie and still, I'm 48 years old and I still don't understand how they make that work and make it look so good.
Or the times Conan hosted the Emmys, he did the same thing.
Yeah, he definitely did. And it's like, so we've been there, done that, I get it. But this one was really well done and a pretty good omen for Amy Madigan winning. Before we go to that, does anyone have any comments about the opening? Yes, the monologue for me fell flat. Definitely did. But his comment about optimism was very important. I feel like the show had some issues because I felt like there was a pall hanging over it, like a bad smell, PALL. Like there's a lot going on in the world, and it was referenced quite a bit. Everyone's on the edge, everyone's scared, everyone's tired, and people are worried. And so it just felt so frivolous to be in that room and celebrating. But I think the message was crystal clear that we all have permission to enjoy ourselves from time to time and actually care about movies and art, because it actually, as we'll talk about later, so many of them were able to demonstrate that art is actually really important in our society. So that was cool. His joke about the pedophiles being arrested in the UK, beautiful. But other than that, it did fall flat. Okay, any comments about the opening?
His Chalamet joke was really funny.
It was funny.
Perfect blend of comedy there.
I was surprised it was the first thing that came, that pretty much the first joke. It just made, I mean, did Chalamet even want to be there?
I was saying that when I saw him on the red carpet, he looked miserable.
You could tell because when one of the winners for, I think it was two people exchanging saliva, they also made a dig at that, and it got one of the, there was someone that made such a big shrill over it, and I'm like, God, you guys did that, and you industry people are very hypersensitive.
It's so true. It just seems so frivolous.
What was with the anytime the documentary shorts were mentioned, what was with that whole long big cheering thing?
Oh, I loved that.
I loved it. That was
great.
What? No one explained it. Like, what's going on up there? Where was my
It's all their friends and family. It's all their friends and family that they couldn't fit in. That they couldn't fit down in the orchestra.
But to be fair, and with all due respect, shut the fuck up. We got an Oscars to watch, yeah? I don't know. That's just me. Hurry up. We hear you, but shut the fuck up.
I loved it.
I liked it.
Let's move on to Amy Madigan, because whether you predicted her or not, who cares about what we predicted? Honestly, no one knows anything. We all are guessing. We're doing our best. And it was really cool to see her win for a horror performance, for a performance in a film where it had no other nominations, for a film that many of us really love, for a character that will be part of the zeitgeist for many years to come, and that she's really cemented her place in genre history as one of the best villains in cinema. I didn't really care for her speech that much. It was fine, but it didn't blow my socks off. But I was very, very happy that she won. Okay, what about you guys?
First of all, I want to say most improved dress from last year is Zoe Saldana, because her dress when she won last year was atrocious, and she looked great this year. So kudos to her on that. I was immensely happy. I had serious doubts that the Academy would actually go through with it, but it's also weird because in my predictions I was predicting the performance from the other horror movie, Wumi Masaku. So I was convinced that they were going to do it in some way. But it really was, I think, this wonderful, this great rallying moment and really kept with the theme of these great blockbusters also being honored for their artistic merit. Because we had this great combination this year, especially with in the Best Picture race with One Battle and Sinners, and also with having Weapons there and Amy Madigan's win, having that great combination there.
Yeah, Rob and I are on very different sides of this because Amy's was one of my favorite speeches because it was so Amy. Amy is a working class, hardworking character actor, and that was the no bullshit Amy Madigan that we've all come to know and love. It was genuine. It was heartfelt. The stuff about her she kind of alluded to the fact that she is the only voice from her film and has been on most of this journey, and talking about how the people from the other films have welcomed her and brought them in. I thought that was so just lovely. And the camera cutting to my mom's boyfriend Ed Harris. My mom has had a crush on him since 1981. And man, that guy still looks amazing.
What about you, Daniel?
I also loved Madigan's speech. I really loved the part where she acknowledges how people keep reminding her it's been 40 years since she's been nominated for an Oscar. What's the difference? It's like, well, having one of these. It's one of those kind of bemused, befuddled, like can't really believe she's there in a sense that feels genuine. And I love Amy Madigan, and like she's one of those actors who just I want to see her in more and more and more, and I don't get to see her often enough. I should probably rectify that, but hopefully a lot of people will rectify that now that she's Oscar winner.
Yeah.
I want to add one other thing. Is that one of the reasons why I love her so much is that as happy as she was winning the Oscar, I think we all know she would have been just as happy had she not won, and probably would have been just as joyous and just as, Amy as she has been the whole season.
Absolutely. Chris, any final thoughts before we move on?
I love Amy Madigan. I saw her, the first time I saw her was I think in class when they showed the Roe v. Wade TV movie with Holly Hunter. And since then I've always been such a fan of hers. And she defied so many stats tonight. It's good to know that like there still can be faith. There can be faith in like that kind of passion pick, and that's probably going to be an argument to use for future contenders like her in that same spot. Maybe too much, but I'm glad we get this once in a blue moon kind of like defiance against all the precursors and whatnot.
True, although the SAG precursor still held up. So that's 15 out of 16 of the last winners have won the SAG and then won the Oscar. So that's pretty cool for SAG. Okay, so then we move on to I Lied to You. And I just want to say this. When I saw the movie for the first time, that sequence like blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And then when I watched it again, which happened to be yesterday, I was even more blown away because I was looking out for more that I had missed first. It's just such a stunning piece of work. And then they did it on the stage, and for me, they did it justice. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I really did. I was really into it. Does anyone disagree? Who did not like the whole performance?
It's not for me. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that there was so much happening on stage at once, and I kept feeling like even when the camera was focusing on something, like I was probably missing something. But it worked. It worked in the room, and it still was a top-notch performance.
Any other comments on I Lied to You?
Yeah, I really like that performance. It was a little chaotic. I do like. I don't think it was a coincidence that they put the ballerina in front. That felt a little pointed in a fun way. I thought it was a really, really good way to try and interpret that song and that sequence from the film on stage. Maybe they were a little too literal about it, like beat for beat trying to recreate the film. But yeah, I thought it worked for the most part.
Yeah. Okay, so then we move on to costume design. Now that was presented by Anne Hathaway and Anna Wintour, and I love the little intro that the animated intro of the costume design with the stitching and the scissors. Love that stuff. I wish I could do that for all the categories. I'm so into it. I'm such a nerd. I love it. And New Zealander Kate Hawley won for Frankenstein. I was really into this. I thought Anna Wintour was really funny, and she didn't really have to do much. It was all based on that was one of the banters that I thought worked. Does anyone not agree?
I did not care for it. I did not care for it. But I messaged you guys and I said that that Anna Wintour shows why she's never been asked to present anything before.
Yeah, but it kind of worked. Like she was just like bang, and the nominees are. I mean, that was great. Okay, but anyway, look, it was a pretty predictable win. We all were expecting, I think, Frankenstein to take that out. It's one of the awards that I thought was really deserving. So congratulations to Kate Hawley. It's nice to see a New Zealander win on the big stage. So then we had a tie in the documentary
live action.
Which one was it again? Live action.
Live action.
And we were. And by the way, I think I've skipped over animation. Sorry, but let's talk about that as well. So animation. Golden and the whatever the hell one for animated short. I've completely forgotten now. Sorry.
The Girl Who Cried Pearls.
Girl Who Cried Pearls.
That's the one. Well, not a lot of people predicted that. And then, of course, we had the tie. I love a tie. When's the last time we've had a tie? It's so exciting. It's really
13
cool.
years ago.
Yeah, long time, right? And the speech given by the guy who won for the Saliva one was a really, really good speech, like really good speech. Again, so that's when things started getting a little political, and that's what we're all waiting for. Like, who's going to say it? Who's going to address the big elephant in the room? And people skirted around it, I thought, in a very tasteful and appropriate way. So this part of the ceremony, who would like to talk us through their thoughts?
I would like to say about the tie that I've never seen an opportunity where I can say both the best nominee and the worst nominee won. That's just me being bitchy, but
you're not wrong.
I did enjoy both speeches. I thought they were both really good. For animation, there was a very funny thing. So we all know our friend of the show, Dan Bayer. Last time I had checked his predictions, he had predicted that The Girl Who Cried Pearls was going to win animated short. And after it won, I texted him and I literally texted him and I said, how the hell did you know that was going to win? And he texted me back, and why did I switch to Butterfly at the last moment? Because
it was the better short.
Wow.
Yeah.
But shorts this year, but I think I'm going to next year just pick the coolest titles. Yeah, because that just feels like what happened.
Yeah.
And so like, which is a testament to good titles, I suppose. But
yeah.
Girl Who Cried Pearls, The Exchanging Saliva.
Great title.
Yeah.
My Year of Dicks would have been an Oscar winner if that was
That's a callback.
That year you also had the ostrich told me that the world is fake, and I think I believe it also.
Yeah, good one as well. I love good titles.
Yeah.
All right.
But I was not. I was thrilled. I was thrilled that the singers won, even though I didn't predict it. Mainly because I didn't think that a bunch of people, just singing in a bar would get that kind of response. But God, live action short never disappoints you with, the potential for the most terrible. I mean, I realize that there are some people who love two people exchanging saliva. The movie, the act, we'll avoid that for a while. But God, that movie does dystopia wrong. It does,
Well, look, all we can say is, art is subjective, and some people loved it, and that's okay. That's okay. And as you say all the time, it's not life and death. But
I loved their speech. Their speech was great.
Speech was really, really good. One of the best ones of the night. Speaking of speech, just in general, I want us all to talk about Matt Berry for a couple of minutes. Most of us, or all of us, love him, of course, from all of his work on TV, particularly What We Do in the Shadows. And I just think he's not only is he so funny, just when he's talking, but he's got the most beautiful, mellifluous voice. And when we could finally hear him, I thought he was great. I would love him to do this every year. Thoughts?
Yeah, I thought he worked. It felt weird. It really felt weird hearing his voice without hearing him say any curse words, because that just feels like part and parcel. You know, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, he's like the way that he does that.
That'll happen when the show moves to YouTube.
Oh God, they got to keep him for that.
Yeah, please. Yeah. So anyway, I really like that. He wasn't. I thought he was going to be there for the comedic value, but that's not what they hired him for. They hired him for his beautiful voice and the way that he can enunciate. And I just found it to be a really nice little touch. Okay, so then we move on to the screenplay categories. PTA and Ryan Coogler both won, and at that point in the ceremony, I thought, okay, great. Yes, now we can both thankfully say that Ryan Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson are Oscar winners finally. Wonderful. I'm very, very happy. Great categories. The presenters, not so much. Okay, let's be real about that. The original screenplay category was kind of wasn't well presented by Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans.
I don't think I've ever seen a bit fall as hard as their bit for when they presented that first award. I can't remember if it was original or adapted, but I don't think I've ever seen a bit land with a bigger thud.
Yeah, not great. But they kind of saved it for the second part. I thought the worst banter was actually earlier, Channing Tatum and whatever his name is from Shameless. Smartless. Sorry, that's the one. That wasn't good. That wasn't good at all. So, like, some of this is what I'm talking about. The banter they just need to cut the banter. We don't want to hear it. We don't give a shit. Get on with it, okay? Okay. Any comments on the screenplay categories, guys? What do you think? Daniel, what are your thoughts?
I mean, they were a nice, relaxing moment for my predictions because they were pretty much set in stone for Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson, like the two Best Picture frontrunners, just split the screenplay awards. But it's nice to see, because the Oscars, I don't think ever really care about spreading the wealth, but here's a way they were actually naturally able to do it. Like if One Battle and Sinners were in the same screenplay category, I'm pretty sure One Battle still would have won it. But yeah, so it was really nice to see that happen. And I was, it was just two really interesting, strong scripts from two people who should have Oscars by now. And now they do.
Yeah, it's a really good call by the Academy. Okay, so let's move on now to, I think, one of the highlights of the whole night. One of the best, the best in memoriam I have ever witnessed in my whole life. And yes, it was long. I get it. And yes, they could have even done it better. Fine. But I left that thing ugly crying. Honestly, I was so moved, particularly by Rob Reiner, by what Billy Crystal said, and then bringing out all those actors that have been in that amazing run of films that Rob Reiner is renowned for. And then the Diane Keaton one by Rachel McAdams, oh my God. And then Barbara Streisand, she just knocked it out. She was just talking to us like we were friends. Like she was just giving us a little tidbit about her relationship with Robert Redford. And I'm very, very grateful that they put so much effort and time into it. Maybe they could have done more for Robert Duvall, but it's okay. We can't have everything in life, And I just felt like I felt really satiated. Tony, what did you think?
I really wish that was one of those times when the sound got in the way. They couldn't get Barbara's mic was kind of muffled at first, and I was like, why are we having such a problem? But overall, I thought it was great. I kind of, if I have any criticism, it felt a little weird to have all of those legendary actors in Rob Reiner films come out and none of them say anything. And I realized that would have made it like a 4-hour ceremony, but it seemed a little weird to have them just come out and then look at the screen and then go away. Just a little weird, but
Yeah,
really
that's
powerful.
interesting.
Really, yeah. Have them each say a little something. Although you could tell, Billy Crystal is very good at handling a moment,
He
and
did it
that's
for Robin
kind of
Williams at the Emmys.
he did it for Robin Williams at the Emmys. This is the closest I've ever seen him to like really struggling to keep it together. You could tell towards the end that he was having some issues with that for good reason. They were best friends.
I felt it was weird that they chose to do those specific segments for those stars, but not include Robert Duvall in that. That just felt weird and kind of like glaring because, I get the whole giving those stars their own segment, and it feels weird just to leave off Robert Duvall with how legendary his career was. But overall, I think the thing that surprised me the most about it was how early in the show it was. Right. And I think that kind of threw me because usually that's when you get towards into like that's when you're in like the last hour of a ceremony. Usually is when that'll happen. But yeah, I honestly thought it was great. I like that they really took time to put in a lot of people. I think that's way more than we normally get for an in memoriam reel. And I was very touched with Barbara Streisand and her talking about Robert Redford and then singing at the out of nowhere. I thought that was great.
What about you, Chris?
I liked it.
Okay.
I think it was reported that it was going to be a longer in memoriam segment, and even if it wasn't, I think most of us could have surmised with just how the myriad of people of legends passed away in this last year. You're gonna have a lot of time to dedicate to all that entire group of people, and obviously single a select few out. But early on in the show, it did catch me off guard, but overall, I think most people left that segment like very emotional.
And what about you, Daniel?
The in memoriam was one of the weird thing to call it a highlight of the show. I thought it was incredibly well executed. It is a testament to just how awful a year it was for losing just legends in the industry. Like it feels like an entire generation has been lost, now of cinema history. But I think they handled it really well. I liked that they singled out who they singled out. I agree that Robert Duvall was weird. It's almost like someone like threw darts and decided, all right, one of these, we'll have time for 3, not 4. So like pick one who doesn't get it. So it was probably a time thing. But again, like I was saying with cutting off speeches, go long.
Yeah.
Especially because you're starting an hour earlier.
Exactly.
Like, what are we doing? Just go long.
Actually, if you think about it, that's really where Robert Downey Jr. would have been more well used, considering that the last Oscar nomination that Robert Duvall got was The Judge, which starred and was produced by Robert Downey Jr. I thought that would have been a better use of Downey.
Yeah, in that silly reunion. Yeah, I hear you. I just also feel like with the in memoriam, no one is ever happy. Like there's always people, and I'm not criticizing them because I get it. There's always people who complain, oh, you missed this person and this person got the short shrift. No one's ever going to be totally happy. And I feel like at least they gave it a bit of thought this time, and I was really into it. Okay, let's move on. I also wanted to say this about the ceremony, and I'm really curious to hear what you think. I mentioned earlier there was a ball over the ceremony. There was a bit of a seriousness in the background or underpinning what they were doing, and like there was this undertone, like an energy, like an urgency to make it clear and stomp their feet to say art matters and art is what's going to save us all. And I thought it's like almost existential. Now maybe I'm just imagining all of this in my crazy brain, but I don't know. I just really felt like there was something going on there. What do you guys think? Charlie?
I'll go to someone else first.
Tony?
I think that, for me, therein lies, I think, part of the problem with the ceremony. I think that you cannot escape the reality that we're living in. And I think what the ceremony needed was, I think there was almost like a fear to approach it. It was like they were tiptoeing up to it, and then they got spooked, and were like, "Oh no, Brendan Carr will come after us. Fuck him." So, what it should have been, they should have just died. They should have just dove headfirst into it. Hit it. And that's where Kimmel comes in later, and I thought that was the tone that was needed. I thought what Kimmel did was perfection, and I thought that was the tone that was needed through the whole show, because he knows how to. And what I'm about to say is probably going to piss off some people, so whatever.
202-456-1414.
Thank you, Charlie, for never disappointing me. Conan, I love Conan, but Conan is kind of a clown in the best possible way.
Nice.
Kimmel knows how to thread the needle of bringing that kind of acerbic wit, but also really just not afraid to, hit the moment with a baseball bat. And I think that's what was needed, I think, for this show to land. Otherwise, because now that everybody's talking about it, that's the word that keeps coming to mind, is there was a tenuousness to this ceremony. It felt like it was just not quite sure of himself.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
I feel like every award show is like this, especially for the last decade, really, ever since the second Trump was announced he was going to be president, which was 2015 or something. So I think as long as it's still on broadcast network, which has all these affiliations with, let's just say, controversial and companies that are not, let's just say, no one would gravitate towards politically. I think there's always going to be a struggle with some balance of how to use that tone, especially if you're a producer or a host. I mean, I think the reason why Kimmel went as hard as he did was because he wasn't hosting. So he could have said anything he wanted. Same with, people like Javier Bardem. If he's on the presenter list, he's not, with the way he's been outspoken about everything.
I was surprised he didn't wear his keffiyeh.
He's not gonna hold that, And more power to that. More power to them. So I expect this to continue on, and who knows, if YouTube will make that better or worse. But who knows?
It was interesting with all these, with what you're talking about with the political tone of it, because I kept on thinking back to the 2003 ceremony that happened. What was it, 2 days after the invasion of Iraq began, and the way that hung over everything. And there was even talk about possibly canceling the Oscars. I think one of the things is that it's always something now. With the way this past year and a half has been, it's always something. So something's always going to be hanging over the air, and especially with the way with the way that fascists come after the arts and everything. I think it's just and especially when you have powerhouse movies like One Battle After Another, which is about which centers around resistance and fighting an entrenched power, and Sinners, which most people would not most people, but certain people would just classify as a DEI film and not even know what the fuck they're talking about. I felt like this one met the moment much better than a lot of attitudes did back in 2002.
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting. The fact that you mentioned the 2003 Oscars, and it's like we are more than 20 years later and we're still doing the same shit. That's a whole other discussion maybe we'll have one day, and how depressing the world is right now, that we just cannot get our act together as a human race. Anyway, onto the more frivolous matters, the Oscars. So then we had Sigourney Weaver and Pedro Pascal come out and
wait, Rob, can I interrupt you for just 1 second?
Sure.
We just skipped over supporting actor, didn't we?
So did Sean Penn.
We did. I was going to get to that. Okay, let's do that first.
Culkin is not going to be invited back to the Oscars, I don't think.
You don't think? No, I don't think so.
I thought that was funny when he said.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, but
I thought that was fantastic.
The industry's probably
should have made a joke like, if my wife and I had a deal, if Sean Penn won this Oscar, we would have 7 more children.
We'd have another baby. Yes.
He missed. That's what a missed opportunity. What a missed opportunity.
Daniel wins.
What do you think about, Tony? What do you think about Sean Penn not showing up? That's really disappointing.
Well, okay. So 2 things. First of all, he was technically, in terms of my own personal preference, he was like number 3. So I'm not like, yay, he has an Oscar, or boo, he lost an Oscar. I'm like, yay, Sean Penn has a 3rd Oscar. Great. It's a great performance. I have no quibbles. It's a totally worthy win, in my opinion. I think that him not being there is really was kind of a dick move, yet totally on brand for Sean Penn. This is this is a man who, as I have said before, acknowledges how hard he makes it for people to like him. And I just kind of wish that he had been there. But, whatever. But I do think Kieran Culkin is always our inner monologue outside. I mean, that's what Kieran Culkin is for. He is to say the things that we all want to say, which was he didn't want to go.
Pretty much. And, okay, whatever. It was very disappointing, unfortunately. It would have been a great speech, I'm sure of it. Okay, any final thoughts on Sean Penn?
He probably wasn't allowed to smoke. That's why he couldn't be there.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's funny because, Kieran Culkin, I think he also missed like half the precursors like last year too. But also a lot of these voters, same with people like with Mark Rylance or Frances McDormand for Nomadland, they vote for them 1, when they're not a guarantee to win, but 2, when they're not a guarantee to show up, when they haven't So I don't think the whole Academy thinks that way. Maybe they'll now think it differently now that someone actually hasn't shown up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
And I do want to just restate also, I know I said this on our podcast, but I think it's amazing that he won, considering he did not campaign one bit for this damn thing. And and you look at someone like Stellan, who was hitting the ground, doing everything he could. He's guesting on SNL with his son hosting, and I think it's kind of infuriating, but it's also it's such a weird win for me, because it's kind of part of me feels like it's a bit of a lazy win, because it's a lazy choice, even though and even though he's my 5 in that category, but it's one of the most stacked one of the best categories that one of the best rosters that category has ever seen. It's so my feelings on this are so complicated, and I'm all over the place about that. But I just think it's so interesting that he didn't do a goddamn thing and he swept the industry awards.
Yeah, good for him.
And
yeah.
Delroy was not happy about it.
You think? Did he see?
Did you see his reaction?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
He was
I don't know. Like,
dead frozen. He didn't move like one muscle when his name was announced.
what a shame. That's a shame because like he wasn't guaranteed to win. Maybe he needs to chill. Like I'm very happy that he was nominated, and I was thinking he would win, but let's not get too excited. What I think. Okay, so then we had Sigourney and Pedro come out and announce a couple of awards. Sigourney Weaver says, "Get away from her, you bitch." I thought that was very funny.
I did not need that bullshit Star Wars ABC Disney.
No, that was
I did
terrible,
not need that.
Corporate synergy, Charlie. Corporate synergy. Come on, we can't stop. We can't stop it.
But it's Grogu. He's so cute.
Who gives a shit?
Not me, that's for sure. But here we are.
Me, I can.
Okay, well that's fine. Now the documentaries. So I don't really have any comments about the documentary short winner. That's cool. But with the documentary, and of course you can both talk about both when I go around to you guys. Documentary feature, David Borenstein. Very happy for him. Very, very happy for him. It's a shame that Gita Gambir did not win an Oscar. She was nominated in both categories and lost. It's really sad. Sorry about that. I'm sure you'll be back. But David Borenstein, what a great film. And that speech, that's when the ceremony got the most political, I think. And I was down for that. I was all over it like a rash. Give me more of that, please. Congratulations, David Borenstein, because that was an amazing film and very well deserved and an awards-heavy interviewee. Okay, Tony, what did you think of the documentaries?
Well, it's funny. It's interesting because I absolutely love so many of the documentary films. I thought this was a great year for documentaries, including the ones that weren't nominated. And those two speeches back to back, not just for Mr. Nobody against Putin, but the speech for all the empty rooms, the mother losing her 9-year-old daughter, as a parent. And Rob, I know you'll agree with me on this. I cannot imagine. I just physically can't even allow myself to go into that space of, thinking about my child not being alive, let alone having to stand up on a stage and having the bravery to talk about it. These people are the real superheroes. And if I were the Academy, I would make an Oscar statue and give it to every single one of the 5 families that are featured in that documentary. It's sad that in the United States, if the Oscars had to make a statue for every family that lost a child to school gun violence, it would probably bankrupt the Academy. But that was touching. And then the doc feature speech was just one of the best of the night. Thank God somebody went there.
Right. What about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I agree. It was my favorite speech of the night. And I wanted more of that, because I remember like in Trump 1.0, you would have like Meryl Streep or Oprah Winfrey give speeches that were basically diatribes against Trump, well-deserved, well articulated. And there's just such a timidity that has fallen over Hollywood in Trump 2.0. And it's been incredibly disappointing to me to see so many artists who I've seen be outspoken in the past be a little bit quiet. And so I'm and for someone who doesn't have like the name recognition or the clout of a Javier Bardem, to actually put it on the line by calling out networks for capitulating to Trump, when he's on a network, literally accepting that award on one of those networks, So it was really satisfying to see. I wish more people had followed his lead. Yeah, as much as I appreciated Conan O'Brien's optimism message, I do think there is a place for a well targeted rage that I feel every day. So if only for the catharsis, I would have liked to see more politics.
Absolutely. What about you, Chris?
I'm just glad people have the guts to make those kinds of speeches, and it's always been a trend in the documentary category. This one, last year with No Other Land, needs to be message needs to be heard, and it needs to be repeated.
Charlie.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Yeah, I really like the speeches. I thought that was a very moving thing that Josh Seftel brought that mother up on stage. And yeah, I loved the guy from Mr. Nobody Against Putin kicking ass and taking names. I loved that. And if there's any category that it's acceptable to do it, it would be documentary because it's about what's going on right now. I wish I could be more eloquent about that, but that's all I got on that.
That's okay. That was eloquent enough. Okay, so now we get to talk about, I think to me, maybe the highlight of the whole night, honestly, and that was the Bridesmaids reunion. That was really, really, really funny. Now, no surprise, those ladies are so good.
Where was Wendy McLennan-Covey?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe one day we'll find out why she wasn't able to make it. I hope she was invited. She's certainly part of the group. Even Amy Mumolo could have been there, really. It's like that. What I love is how it's so obvious now that people in the crowd, and obviously us viewers, really love that movie. It kind of has a Devil Wears Prada vibe. It's a classic. It's a classic comedy from 15 years ago. It's really held up. It's very, very funny. Rose Byrne, she's being celebrated that night as a nominee, and just people remembering how good she is in comedies. And Kristen Wiig is just such a genius. And I laughed about the whole thing. I barely laughed. I thought it was very, very well done. And more of that, please. If you're going to have shitty banter, at least try to make it funny. Okay. Who would like to talk about?
I look forward to the gift, and I think we can all agree that the gift that is now going to be used from this ceremony is Benicio del Toro going,
Yes.
It's one of those moments. It's one of those moments where you see it and you just know that's going to be the gift of the moment. Like, I'll never forget when I was watching Biden's inauguration and I saw Bernie Sanders in the coat and the hat, sitting there like this. I was like, that's the meme. That's the meme.
Well, yeah. And then on top of that, the fact that, and Benicio did what Leo did it, and Jacoby Jupe, bravo to him. Yeah, and Stellan Skarsgård, but especially Jacoby Jupe. That kid just shows once again why that kid deserved to have an Oscar nomination. That kid played along and knew exactly what he was doing. God bless him. But once again, a recurring theme through the night. Somebody couldn't fix Melissa McCarthy's microphone because note to sound engineers. Guess what? It's the Oscars. There's a lot of sound designers in the audience. If a woman is wearing a dress that's all the way up to her chin, maybe you can come up with why not use a Broadway style microphone that comes through the hair and is on the forehead so that we don't have to. So, she sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher for half the fucking segment.
Yes, that's perfect. Oh my god, I know. What's really? Can we all make a pact that when the Emmy nominations come out, to make sure, I want to see if the Oscars get nominated for sound design or whatever.
So we can
really
vote about it.
Yes, that is something that we must remember. Okay,
I'm making a note of that in my phone right now.
Thank you, but please, because I'm going to forget because I'm getting dementia. Chris, what did you think of the Bridesmaids?
That movie's iconic. Those ladies were iconic. That's all I got.
Short but sweet. Daniel.
I really liked it. I liked the second half of it where they were befuddled by the concept of sound. I thought that worked a little bit better than the first half did go on a little long. Like, when you're calling out in your bit that the bit is going too long, maybe the bit is actually going too long. So that was my one critique of the first half. But I really liked seeing them all on stage again together. It just goes to show you how kind of depressingly rare female ensembles like that are, and how great they can be. We don't get enough, especially funny women. Like, we don't get enough of them together.
That's so true. Anyway, I'm going to put that on my queue and watch it this week again. I just feel like it's necessary. So then, unless my notes are wrong, and please call me out like Tony did earlier, because there are moments where I got up off the couch to go and do stuff and maybe did make it. But the next big moment was Autumn Durrell Archipel winning cinematography for Sinners, first woman, first person of color, I think, to win that award, and so deserving too. It had nothing to do with her gender or her racial or ethnic identity at all. It was just all about the talent. Her speech was so perfect because she didn't expressly address the fact that she made history, but the way that she went about it, for Conan to come out later and then just explain for people who weren't aware of what she had just achieved. I loved it. I was very, very happy with that win. That was a bit of a surprise, and so we all do love our surprises, right? So who would like to go first to talk about this?
I thought it was adorable that Ryan Coogler went up into the audience and got her kid and brought him down into which I thought was just nauseatingly sweet.
Yeah, that was the speech. That was my favorite speech of the night, because I love it when you have a historic moment. First of all, it was an unexpected win. It was not what a lot of people were predicting. So it was in many ways a surprise. You could feel the surprise in the audience. You could feel the you could feel the sheer joy in the room. And then for her to take that moment and meet the moment with a great speech that was gracious and well thought out, and she paid tribute to all the female cinematographers that got to that space. She pulled a Frances McDormand 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, when we having all the ladies stand up, and I thought it was just perfect in every way.
Who else? Chris?
When was the first time? It was the cinematographer from Mudbound, I think.
Rachel Morrison.
Yeah, I think that's
Rachel Morrison.
That was the first woman that got nominated for cinematography, I believe. That was like in 2018. So I'm just glad it didn't take that long. And I would argue that was probably the biggest shock of the night, because especially with One Battle winning casting and sweeping all the cinematography precursors. I think this is, again, one of those instances where, like, this is one of the results this is a result of letting the entire Academy vote rather than like the cinematography branch or like the BAFTA British bloc. And I think that's an easily highlight, and probably the best win for Sinners on so many levels.
Daniel?
I've been a little surprised this season that Sinners wasn't a stronger contender for cinematography. I think the cinematography is such an important part of what makes that movie work. Personally speaking. So like when, you see One Battle After Another taking a lot of cinematography prizes, not that it's not well shot, but I just felt strange that she wasn't winning already. But it was nice to see that finally, rectified at the Oscars, to see her get that moment in the spotlight. If it couldn't be Train Dreams, I'm glad it was her.
But it should have been
Yeah.
Train Dreams.
Correct.
I don't know. Well, yeah, maybe, but I thought they both play very. Yeah, of course. Even One Battle, that's like, the whole thing. Like, there were so many that weren't nominated. Like, really, what a year! My God, Christina. So then we move on to Golden being performed, and I really loved it. I thought it was really cool. It was really good, and once it was over, I was like, oh yeah, okay, that can win. I'm cool with that winning, no problem at all. Fantastic, and great speech, great for K-pop fans around the world. Yeah, I really, really loved it. What did you guys
Well,
think?
no, it wasn't a great speech because we didn't get to hear the speech.
Oh, really? You couldn't hear it?
They
Cut off the guy. They cut off the
they
guy.
cut him off 20
There
seconds
was
in.
some speech. There was some speech. And then, of course, they're cutting off. Yes, that was really mean. And they didn't go back. But sometimes they went back when they were doing it. This time they're like, nope. Or did they go back?
No,
they didn't.
they didn't go
He
back.
could have had the
They-
most profound thing to say, and we'll never know.
that was a dick move.
It really is. They need to stop. I don't know what more we can do. Like, what can we do? We need like a petition.
But we can't
or
do
need to
anything.
Protest. We can
Shock collar.
Yeah, like stop
collar.
it. Don't play them off. We're happy to sit and listen to the people talk. Okay, get rid of the stupid montages and the interpretive dance and whatever. No, actually, they get rid of it. All right. So okay, then we move on to international feature. And that was one of my highlights of the night, because I just want to say this. First of all, Javier Bardem, very ballsy to say what he said on the stage. No one else referenced the conflict in Gaza, the war, the genocide in Gaza, and he did. And he also said no to war generally. I feel like that really was part of this whole thing of the night, about people just being very wary of what's going on around the world right now. Good for him. International
Well,
feature.
we know that Bill Maher is not going to invite Javier Bardem on his podcast.
Probably not. And that it is what it is. International feature, I was reminded, of course, that was one of the strongest, whatever you call it, group of nominees ever in that category, in my personal opinion. All 5 of those films were so incredible and deserving of a win. And it was really just pick a number out of a hat. That's how I felt. Like, really, any of them winning would have made me so happy. Of course, if Sarat would have won, I would have fucking. But sentimental value, great that it won. And Joachim Trier quoting Baldwin at the end of his speech about the adults need to look after the children had many meanings that really, really resonated with me. And that's I was blown away by that he said that. And I hope that gets clipped and played for years to come. Okay, so that's my thoughts on international feature. What did you think about it, Tony?
I have nothing else to add to that. I mean, it is everybody knows my feelings on Sarat, but I get why other people love it. No shade. Well, a little shade. I did find it interesting that I was telling you guys in our group chat that my mom asked, "What is Sarat?" And that, of course, set me off on a monologue. I also used the term wub wub in explaining that movie to my mother.
My frat house lexicon lives on.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, Sentimental Value was my number 3 film of the year. So I mean, and clearly there was a lot of love in that room for Joachim Trier, and that film got 9 nominations. The Oscars love that film, and I love that film. So very deserving winner.
Daniel, any thoughts?
I did think there was a slight chance The Secret Agent could eke it out, but the fact that Sentimental Values had those 9 nominations, including 4 for acting, including Best Director, I figured Sentimental Value would still win that, and it was my favorite of the bunch too. So I'm very happy that it won. I didn't realize. I think the Matt Berry, one of his Audible comments was that it was the first Oscar for Norway, which I would have expected they would have won one before, but I guess there's a first time for everything, and I'm happy for Norway. Congratulations, Norway.
Yes, Norway. Good on you. What about you, Chris?
I'm actually surprised I'm surprised and hopeful when sentimental value started falling post BAFTAs. When it like many people were predicting it for more wins than it eventually got. I'm happy for Joachim Trier. As someone who loves Worst Person in the World and Oslo, August 31st. I do hope one day, as more international features get nominated for Best Picture, well, hopefully more than two, that I hope that one day, like the one with the most nominations is not always a guaranteed lock to win. And I think this was probably like the closest race we had, because like whatever ended up winning international feature would have been the only win for that film of the night. So yeah, I hope there's more of a spread in future years, which it's looking promising in that regard.
Yeah, Charlie, final thoughts on international.
I mean, if only Trump had bombed Iran 2 weeks earlier, maybe Jafar Panahi would have an Oscar.
I really would love to see that speech, though.
There's a moment where he's like literally death staring at Kevin O'Leary.
Oh my God, that was priceless.
That's a great moment.
That was priceless.
Yeah, absolutely priceless. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Best Actor, and I just want to say I have seen some of the comments. I personally am not a fan of saying this person didn't deserve it, he's a terrible actor, or this performance was better. Again, this is subjective. We all have our own opinions. We all have our likes and our dislikes, and that's totally cool. You can say Michael B. Jordan wasn't very good or whatever you want to say, but he did win, and obviously most voters voted for him, and it was a very popular win in the room. I've been a fan of his for a very long time. I'm very happy that Black Panther is there. Someone from Black Panther is there, and I'm just like super excited that he won. I didn't like his speech at all, really. I thought he was probably so nervous and so bamboozled by the whole thing, but I just really like it when they acknowledge their fellow nominees, and he didn't do that, I don't think. And that's okay, no biggie. But I was just like, okay, that wasn't the best speech of the night, but I was very happy that he won. And yeah, good for him. He's a really young, interesting actor. He's got so much ahead of him in his career. Yeah, that's what I think. What did you think, Daniel? What did you think of Michael B. Jordan?
I had some shaky predictions, so I was relieved to get one right that was close. It wasn't my personal choice in the category, but then neither was Timothée Chalamet. I would have gone with Ethan Hawke, who would have been a huge surprise anyway. So yeah, but I am thrilled for him. I think he's at least as due as Timothée Chalamet is. Even though Chalamet has more nominations, Michael B. Jordan. I've been following Michael B. Jordan since All My Freaking Children. So and The Wire and Friday Night Lights and and Parenthood. He's been so good for so long. I don't think people realize. I think people think that he just happened with Creed or something. No, he's been putting in the work for literal decades.
Yeah,
Creed wasn't even his first collaboration with Ryan Coogler. It was Bruce Wilson.
Well, that's actually what I thought it was so fitting that the night that Ryan Coogler wins his first Oscar, so does Michael B. Jordan, because they both catapulted into our lexicon, into the more broad lexicon. Not discounting Michael's work on All My Children, definitely not discounting that. But
it was terrific.
But I mean, him and Coogler leapt into our lexicon when Fruitvale Station came out in 2012, I think it was, that came out.
Yeah,
and they've been on, and it almost feels like their good fortune has been inextricably linked with each other. And so that's what made that victory just a bit more sweet, just a bit more sweet.
Yeah. Tony, any thoughts?
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't have a dog in this fight because, the best performance of the year, in my opinion, was Joel Edgerton in Train Dreams. And like Daniel, my preference in the category was Ethan Hawke. But Michael B. Jordan was my number 2 in that category. So I am thrilled. I have not heard a roar like that for a winner. The last time I heard anything close to that was when Parasite won. This is one of the most popular wins I have ever seen at the Oscars, and I've been watching these since like 1989. So, regardless of, and by the way, let's remember the theme of my life: the Oscars are not the arbiter of what is the best. It is just what happens. And I think PTA said it really well in his acceptance speech, that it's not about what's actually the best. It's about how people felt in a given moment. History will remember a lot of different things differently. But is it an unworthy performance? Absolutely not. It's a very worthy performance. Michael B. Jordan is now only the second person in history to win an Oscar for playing multiple roles. Hasn't happened since 1965. So it's been more than 60 years. It's actually been 60 years since this happened. So, so everybody just needs to relax.
Yeah, Tim is like 14 years old. He's got 50 years left to win an Oscar. So
yeah, don't give it to Timmy. I think. I was just. I think. Well, Michael B. Jordan's win, part of what makes it so special is that was a movie star performance, and you rarely see actors win for the roles that they're like those kind of marquee idol performances that they're best known for. Like, why doesn't Harrison Ford have an Oscar or even a nomination for Indiana Jones or Han Solo? Or people create these iconic figures in these blockbuster films or these genre films that don't usually get the respect of the Academy, but now we're starting to, because the Academy has been diversifying and maybe I suspect getting also quite a bit younger. So the fact that he won for this, I think in his filmography, Sinners is going to be up there.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so I did skip over director, so let's just go back. And so Paul Thomas Anderson won Best Director, and he did reference the 1975 Oscars and who won and what won there. Or did he say that during Best Picture? Or did he
that was during Best Picture.
Oh, okay, sorry. We'll get well. I'll just pause then. I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused. He won so many, I just can't keep up. Okay, so he won Best Director. Now that was completely expected, and really happy for him. Like you could just tell the love in the room for Paul Thomas Anderson. That was his 14th nomination.
His tributes to Adam Sumner this year have been very moving. I think the BAFTA one was probably the most moving because Adam Sumner, I believe, was British.
Right.
So I'm always happy when someone knows to prepare something in case they get on stage multiple times.
Yes.
Bong Joon-ho did it. Sean Baker did it brilliantly last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very happy that Paul Thomas Anderson did the same thing. But I also like that when he got up there, you basically felt like he was speaking from the heart. And it was also beautiful to see him thank Maya as well.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. Okay, so now we're moving on to Best Actress, and to me, Jessie Buckley gave the speech of the night. In my opinion, I thought it was beautiful. She celebrated mothers. It really made me really emotional what she had to say, and she really nailed it. And we all knew most likely she was going to win. She has won everything pretty much across the board in the last couple of months, and good for her. And Hamlet walks away with something. And it was just really lovely. And I think it's one of the speeches that I think we will look back on over the years and say that was a really, really good one. What did you think of it, Tony?
I mean, there's not much to be said other than I do actually want to correct something that nobody here has said, but something that I've seen out in the sphere, and I want to take the opportunity to correct it. I'm really sick and tired of rant incoming. I'm really getting really annoyed with people who say that all Jessie Buckley did was the most acting. The implication being that she overacted. And I just want to say something, all right? I would bet dimes to donuts that those people that say those types of things aren't parents. I have talked to, I've been a teacher for 23 years. I have unfortunately been in the situation where I have had to talk to parents who have lost their children. What Jessie Buckley does in Hamnet is not overacting. If anything, it's underplaying some of the sheer grief that when you're a parent, I can only imagine what it is. So for all the people that keep wanting to say that this was about who did the most acting, shut the fuck up. All right. I'm done with that. Because if I could tell a really long story about my mom watching this movie. I shared it with you guys in the group chat. This is a movie that broke my mother on every level, and like all she has said to me since she watched that movie was, "That girl better win. That girl better win." And I kept telling her, "Mom, she's a lock. She's going to win. That girl better win. I will never watch the Oscars again if that girl doesn't win." So thank God she won. So now my mother can continue to watch the Oscars.
Yeah, but listen, my greatest fear in life is something happening to either of my children. It sometimes paralyzes me with fear, and so I get it. And that was not overacting. It was so real. No wonder it was just it was a done thing after I saw her performance, and I'm very happy for her. I'm really happy for Ireland, the country, because they get Best Actress winner, and it's really cool. Any further thoughts on Jessie Buckley, guys?
She's been knocking it out of the park the whole season. And I loved her laugh when she got up there. It very much reminded me of Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
I had the same exact thought. I almost thought we were going to get another Olivia Colman moment.
Same.
I honestly thought when she left, I thought she was going to go, "This is crazy. This is hilarious."
But she did a really big belly laugh like Annie Madigan did. They were both just like completely overtaken with serotonin or dopamine or whatever it was that were firing in their bodies, and they just couldn't help themselves but just laugh. And just a beautiful moment. Don't you all agree that one of the greatest joys of the Oscars that we've been watching throughout our lives, in particular the Oscars, but other award shows, is to witness somebody get up there and like see a dream come true and like hit that target or hit that pinnacle in their life, and how profound it is for them, and they're floating on there, and they're probably hallucinating. They have no fucking clue what's going on. And I love witnessing that with them. It's a real moment. It really is. And that's why I love it when they lean into that and give us something real that we can talk about in years to come on a podcast and say, what's our top 5 Oscar speeches of all time? Loved that moment. All right. So look, we finally get to Best Picture. And Nicole Kidman comes out with Ewan McGregor. Awesome. On the anniversary, the 25th anniversary of Moulin Rouge. And loved it. Very happy to see them both there doing that. I'm a huge fan of both of them. I really don't like it how people are constantly making fun of or commenting on Nicole Kidman's looks. Yes, she's had some plastic surgery. Yes, she's very skinny. But this is my rant now. Like, it's just rude and it's kind of misogynist. And I'm not really into that. Like, let's not. Otherwise let's criticize some of the guys as well. Like, that guy's a bit fat and that guy's a bit ugly. Like, let's not do that. Like, she looked beautiful. Her dress was amazing, and she's one of the biggest stars on earth. and she's made some incredible films and incredible TV shows, and she does a lot for like fellow female directors, and so that's what I think we should be focusing on. Anyway, so they came out. They then announced Best Picture, and I was like, what's going to happen? Because Sinners had 4, and One Battle After Another had 4, and this was going to be the moment where one of those films was going to ascend and get that 5th Oscar, and it eventually happened to be One Battle After Another. I have a feeling, I have no freaking evidence for this, but I have a feeling that it was pretty close. And I really love a good Oscars where it's like that, where you really have no freaking clue what's going to happen till the very last second. And as soon as she opened the envelope and I could see her mouth like moving into the sound of 1, I thought, oh, okay, all right, that's great. I'm very happy for that. But if it was Sinners, I would have been just as happy. In fact, it would have blown me away if it had been any of those, any film that wasn't those two. So, yeah, great ending to the night. And then, of course, we get that post-credit scene. I don't know if you all saw that, but Conan being pulled into the room like Sean Penn was in One Battle After Another. That was the funny thing.
I missed. What is this?
Oh, okay. So before I hear from all of you about what you thought about this picture, at the end of the show, after the first credit had rolled, he had said good night, there was a post-credit scene where they completely reenacted what happens to Sean Penn's character in One Battle After Another. They put him in the room, he's sitting like that, he's looking at the view, the gas comes out, they put him in the thing, and he's got this face. It is so funny, it's so good. So I highly recommend you see if you can go back and watch it. It was very funny. Conan O'Brien really did a great job on the package, or the film package. I think he did a great job on that. So, Chris, what did you think of the final moments on the show?
Yeah, this comes from someone that never really had any doubt that One Battle wasn't going to win. And I think the battle between that and Sinners throughout the entire season, just the magnitude of that, of how it has been between those two films, and not just in Best Picture, but in just various categories, various precursors, acting, writing, directing, and whatnot. That's a magnitude that we will rarely ever see in a while. And I think that's something that is worth to celebrate, and also it's going to be really stand history when we look back on this year.
Tony?
I'll be honest. I have predicted One Battle after the other, after another. Jesus Christ, I'm tired. I predicted it. I was pretty confident that it was going to happen. And yet, I'll be honest with you guys, and I haven't even told you guys this yet. There was a part of me that kind of, at the last minute, kind of wanted Sinners to win, only because what that would have done to the Oscar blogosphere, in terms of completely shattering every kind of stat. And the chaos makes me happy because it just kind of makes people go crazy. We've seen a lot of passion in our chat here this evening, and I just let it wash over me because in the end I don't care. It's the Oscars, it's not life and death, and people need to get a life. But if anything, One Battle After Another almost felt a little anticlimactic, because I had a feeling that the room wanted it to be Sinners, which would have just been kind of cool. Again, neither one is my favorite film of the year, so again, I don't have a dog in this fight. I just would have loved to see what that would have done to people.
It would have been insane. It would have been completely insane. Daniel, final thoughts?
I just want to say it's kind of a relief that there was, and I guess maybe if you were in the blogosphere, Oscar bloggers have a way of creating Oscar villains, but this didn't. They didn't really. There was no Emilia Perez this year that people were constantly dunking on, except maybe Timothy Chalamet. But if we really reflect on it, what he said about like ballet and opera does not pales in comparison to the controversy of Emilia Perez. So
what he said the last 3 months.
So just the fact that we had a race between two frontrunners that were both critically well-liked, loved by audiences. They both had that kind of cool factor, that often the Academy has been allergic to when they go with like a Green Book or something. Like this time it was between the two coolest, most forward-thinking nominees, arguably in the category, even though, like Tony, they weren't my top favorites in the category. So it was just a nice kind of Oscar season that didn't feel as contentious as I've seen them go in the past, and that felt nice to me. Or maybe I'm just a little bit withdrawn from the larger Oscar blogosphere than I used to be. I don't use Twitter anymore for probably very smart mental health reasons. Although I'm on Blue Sky, so what am I saying? But yeah, just there felt like no animosity in this race, and at least not to me.
Chris, final thoughts.
Me, Charlie.
Yeah. No, you, Chris.
Okay.
Right.
Because I already talked.
You did? Oh, okay. Sorry. Charlie. Sorry, Chris. Before you go on, this was just a final thought. Do you have any final thoughts before we go? Because I think we're all tired and ready for that.
Yeah, you're telling me. Yeah, I'm glad it's over. This was kind of too long. I wish they did this back in like a few weeks ago or like in February even. But yeah, it was always going to be between One Battle and Sinners. Yeah, I'm with all the rest of you. They weren't in my top 2 or even top 5 of the year, but it's something. It's I'm sure next year we're probably not going to get two big box office hit front runners with this kind of impact on the culture and the industry. As well as we did this year.
Charlie.
Just to build off what Daniel said, we should be so lucky that we should be so lucky that we had this kind of year where our top 2 were of this quality and just were so perfect for this moment. And I think that's sometimes you think of what sometimes these contests boil down to, and I consider it to be a truly great thing that we were able to have these two as our big behemoths this year. I mean, it feels weird saying that the idea that with that Warner Brothers was so prevalent in this, and yet they're going bankrupt or something, because they can't keep anything above float. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad. I'm really happy for One Battle After Another. I really think it's very fitting for Paul Thomas Anderson to finally get that recognition and get it in this way, at this level. Yeah, and I wouldn't have been dissatisfied either way. I could not have been happier for that. That was one of the great theater experiences I've had in the last 10 years was when I saw that in the theater.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, I think we can call it a day. What an amazing Oscars. I really enjoyed the whole season with all of you on this really long journey Sometimes at the end of Oscar season, I'm like, good riddance, I'm done. Let's move on to the Emmys. But I'm going to miss this one. I really, really enjoyed this Oscar season. I felt the films were really strong, the narrative's really interesting, and it was really exciting and unpredictable.
And may I say, Rob, you were tolerable.
It's about damn time. Thank you. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Now, before we go, just wanted to make sure that you all like, share, subscribe, write us an email at awardsheaven@gmail.com. Make sure you're checking out our podcast every week. We may take a break, we may not. We'll see what happens, but we're definitely going to keep this going. We've hit 20 episodes, and we want to keep it going because we're really enjoying ourselves, and we'll have so much more to talk about. Various things in film, TV, and music, and then we start getting into Emmys Phase 1. Very exciting. So stick with us, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you soon.